Good morning and welcome to our sunrise safari on, well, my birthday, and hopefully it will be a very good day. Remember, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Senzo. Hello Senzo, how are you this morning? Good, man. Senzo is well this morning. Right, it is live, it is interactive, which means hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or YouTube chat if you'd like to get hold of us and ask any questions about the morning's affairs. Now, it hopefully will be a really nice morning. I think it's going to be excessively hot this morning. There's not a single cloud in the sky to be seen. The sun is already quite high and the birds are all chirping. So hopefully it'll be a beautiful morning out here. Because it's my birthday, I think my plan is to just go and look for anything with spots because that's really what I feel like seeing. I want to try and find leopards, as many as I can and as much as I can. So that's the plan. Where they're going to be, I'm not quite sure. You can see I've got my birthday crown on, which is because Kirsty and Jerry went to town yesterday and they decided that I should buy this, and well, not buy it, that they would buy it and that I should wear it. And so I can't disappoint. I have to wear it in the glistening morning sun. You can see my gold crown is shimmering, and so that's what I'm going to wear for some of the drive. I think I might change my outfit, who knows, it's a surprise. We might do all kinds of things, but it will be a nice morning. We have a bushwalk this morning again, which is very good. It's nice to have the walk team out again, so Noel will be out on walk. Then we're going to have hopefully Taylor McCurdy in the Mara as well, out and about. I think she was up. I think Scotty's still got some issues with his vehicle, so he's still on coil duty trying to fix the coil that fell out and various other things, so I don't think he'll be joining us this morning, but well, it'll still be fun and it'll still be great. But here are lion tracks by the looks of things. So where has this individual gone? Now you see on my left hand side there is most definitely tracks for a male lion walking up the road. There they are, nice big massive paw prints. Where did you go? I'm sure some of you may have seen this individual on the dam cam if they did walk here, so maybe hashtag Safari Live if you did see a male lion come past the dam cam, or any lion at all, because it seems as though there's more than one male walking in that area. So we're going to try and just have a look. I want to let Herbie and them know because they were somewhere behind me. I could hear them talking, so I want to try and just let them know that there is tracks for a male lion here. Now the problem with this is that one of the guys said he checked the Buffelshoek boundary, he didn't find any tracks coming over, but I would imagine that if this animal went north, that in all likelihood we're going to have a situation where they are probably already crossed. But I just wanted to check if they go towards the dam, which they do. So let's have a little look around and see, maybe we can get lucky and we can find this individual somewhere here. Right. So nothing coming over the dam wall. I would suspect that this male must have walked straight past the lodge. So I'm going to go check on the other side quickly, and while we do that, it's time for Noelle to say good morning as she takes her morning stroll through the bush with a very smiley Herbie, who also would like to say hello.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Noelle, and you're with us here at Safari Live. You can follow us interactively, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or on YouTube chat. We're out on a bushwalk, my favorite thing to do out in the bush. And we've got Herbie, he's just busy checking some tracks for us. And of course, on camera, we've got Jean-Dre. Now, I know Tristan said that he has some lion tracks. We're just going to check down here. Herbie did have some audio this morning. So that deep, deep guttural call, that ooh, ooh. But as we know, lion roars can travel very far. Here we go. Here's a beautiful track. Okay. So a male lion's roar can travel up to about 16 kilometers in perfect conditions, and last night was very good. And here's the tracks. I don't know if any of you maybe watched the live cam we have at the dam. Maybe they came to drink. Not sure. Viewer, oh, you heard the lions but never saw. Okay. So we're going to carry on with our tracking that we had from yesterday evening. So remember, we had the leopard track. Now that leopard track was probably the size of the inside pad of this lion track, but it's the same concept. 3 lobes at the back, 1, 2, 3, and 4 toes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what I want to do, this lion is moving up the road this way, but we're going to work on track sequence. So what we're going to do is we're just going to come stand back here, and it's a little bit deeper. So remember, we were talking about front, back, left, and right. Okay, so from here, Let's go. He's done something funny this side. I just want to stand where the sun's not going to interrupt. Okay, so we've got a track here, and I'm going to play with the tracks just a little bit so you can all see what I'm looking at. Track here, and a track here. Okay, track here, and a track here. Track here, and a track here. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to come up the middle like this. Everything on this side is the left foot, everything on that side is the right foot. So then if we come up to this really beautifully presented track, here look at how the sun's hitting, and the sun's hitting from behind, so it's casting a beautiful shadow rather from down top, so you can actually see the depth of the track. So what we're going to do is we've got our 3 lobes, remember 1, 2, 3. We had our line's going to come right up. So I've been cheeky and I've showed you, so this should be the left. But let's say we don't have our line, and let's say we just have this track. If you look at your 2 hands, take your thumbs away. Lions' thumbs, well, they've got little dew claws up here, but take them away. Your second finger is longer. So if we look really closely at this track here, you can actually see this toe is the longest toe, which would mean the left. The other thing you can do is actually put your fingers in. Do my left fingers fit? Yep. Do my right fingers fit? It's not going to work. So this is a left foot. Now we want to figure out, is this front or back? Okay. So with anything that walks on all fours, we're going to be silly today, walks on all fours like this, everything is in front and it pushes down. So your front track with an elephant, with a lion, with a leopard, front track's going to be very round. The length and the width will be the same, but then your back track is going to be long with less width. Okay, so if we look back here again, remember back there I said we had a funny track? Do you see this here? He was walking fast, but he's got a bit of a limp. The track's not registering. This is his back track. The length, okay, is roughly that. Ooh, and now I'm ruining my tracks, but it's longer than it is wide. If we look here, this length and this width are exactly the same. So I'll do it again. There's the length with the back track, and then much less on the width. Length, width, this. Beautiful. So now his front foot is in the back of his back foot, which means that he was walking very quickly. So if he's walking slowly, his back foot's going to present behind the front foot. Medium walk on top, fast walk on the front. Alrighty. Oh, lion tracks. They get my mojo going. Makes me super happy. All right, we are going to head up to the Mara where they have lots and lots of lions. But first off, we've got Taylor with What Lions Eat. A lovely zebra for you this morning, and we'll carry on and see what we can do with these lion tracks.
Good morning, everybody. Look at this beautiful scene that we've got for you. Zebra, sunrise, and of course it wouldn't be the Mara Triangle without a few hot air balloons. Good morning again. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today, feeling fresh and fine, is Darby. Remember, this is live, this is interactive, and of course it's happening right now, so you're welcome to chat to us. #Safari Live, and on Twitter, of course, and then you can chat to us via the YouTube chat. Happy birthday to my young friend Tristan. I hope you have the best day ever. Now, if you're probably wondering why am I not dressed up, it's because I live in the Mara Triangle now, and there's no arts and crafts stores nearby, so I can't sort of get hold of the equipment that I would need to create certain things, but it's okay. I'm busy with a rap at the moment. I'm not going to sing it just yet. Darby's been practicing. We need a bit of time because Darby hasn't beatboxed for a while. So we've just been warming up his voice. He's been doing vocal exercises. He actually phoned James for some vocal exercises because he's the winner. Actually, let's keep driving. Let's just go around. We're just going to keep bumbling. And then hopefully, well, I'll be able to spit something out a little bit later as well. It's probably not going to be very good, so don't get your hopes up. What our plan for the morning, however, is obviously it's been raining the entire night. It didn't stop raining. Darby said he got up at about 2 o'clock this morning, and he said the whole camp was covered in fog, which must have been quite beautiful. We actually, as we were having dinner last night, we could slowly start seeing the fog coming into the tent. We had pizza night, which was quite nice. It was like a smoke machine. It was quite wonderful, filling up the mess tent. But we're going to head back into the area where those lions were last night, because I suspect with all that rain was about, they were hungry. we might find them either still hungry and looking for something. Ooh, sorry, a bit bumpy here. Or they're going to be on a kill. But it would be quite cool to just sort of follow up and finish that story. So that's the initial plan for today. It was a good rain last night. The roads look slightly damaged. There's a lot of little rivets, so obviously the water was pouring down, which is no good because I feel terrible. The guys actually just came down and did some maintenance on these roads and started repairing them. But it's a never-ending cycle. You fix the roads, the rain comes, washes all the hard work away, and then it all starts again. So we'll keep heading in that direction. We'll probably try and get there as quickly as we can. I don't think it's going to be too hot to start off with, unlike Djuma. There's still quite a bit of cloud cover that the sun's got to burn through. We had a beautiful sunrise, but it only lasted for about 2 minutes. There was a gap like this between the layer of clouds, which was quite cool, actually. It was very, very pretty at about 6 o'clock this morning. And of course, we're in 2 different time zones. So what is the time now? What would the time be at Djuma? 5, almost 6 o'clock. So yeah, okay. To just remember the different times there. So that's what we'll be doing. And we're heading down that way. 5:42, says Megan. So it's 6:42 here. Okay, let's take this card of low range quickly. Don't need it anymore. Okay, well, hopefully the next time you see me, I'll be with some lions, either stalking a buffalo or eating a buffalo, being optimistic. Tristan, of course, the birthday boy today. Send in all your praises, your wishes, maybe your favorite sighting that you've had with Tristan. Hashtag Safari Life. Speaking of him, let's jump back on board with the man who's wearing a crown.
Well, we are still tracking, and hopefully sightings will be good, but at the moment the tracks for the male lion come north towards sort of Buffelshoek, and we haven't found anything crossing the boundary, but I'm pretty sure the last track I had was about 50 meters to the south of the boundary, still going northwards, so I don't think he's anywhere in this area. But what has come out of Buffelshoek is Mvula. I'm pretty sure this is Mvula's tracks, given that he was seen in this area last night when Noel had him crossing north. This is him coming out of Buffelshoek now and going straight down the road. So what I'm hoping is that these tracks are going to cross south back onto our area, and maybe we can find the old gentleman himself. That will certainly make my day if I can find Mvula somewhere in this area. But good to see some tracks. There's tracks for lots of different things this morning. With the lion tracks, I don't know, it just seemed as though they kind of disappeared. They could have crossed on a hard section. I just don't see where they could have gone. Now the leopard tracks are going to be interesting. I'm hoping that he's not going to turn back to the north and back into Buffelshoek. I'm hoping they're going to come southwards and cut into our area, and maybe we can find him somewhere around Gallagher, Shortcut, and those sections. I've already lost the tracks, to be honest. I think they must have gone over either back into Buffelshoek or they've crossed to our side. So what I'll do is I just want to go up this road a little bit. If there's nothing here, then I'm going to take the road and come along the fire break and just double check the fire break and see if there's anything there. At the end of the day, this road is driven quite extensively. There's a lot of people that go up and down on this area, and so it makes it quite difficult to actually see tracks all the time. And it's also, after all the rains, there's a lot of the loose soil that was built up over this winter has now washed away completely, and it's left a very hard crust in this area, and it's why maybe, just maybe, we've missed those tracks for the male lion going north, or that we've missed these tracks for this male leopard going further along this way. I would be very surprised though if Mvula went away and then back in to Tambuti. I would imagine, there we go, there's Senzo waving. Senzo is waving in the shadows. Hello Senzo. And so I would be very surprised if he decided to go back into Buffelshoek from where he would have been here. So, you know, I think more than likely what we might have is him coming onto the boundary, and then from there he could obviously split either way, but I doubt that he's gone back the same way he just came from. It's very seldom that leopards do these kind of things. But what we'll do is, like I say, we'll just jump onto the fire break and just double check that his tracks are not walking down the fire break and moving into that area. Now, at least the tracking is possible, and we do have some tracks to work with. It's always better than having no tracks, and hopefully we will get lucky and we'll be able to find both these individuals, both the male lion and the male leopard, and hopefully they're not together, because we don't at the end of the day want them to be chasing one another, but it would be nice to find either one. And so while we try and concentrate on our tracks, I believe Noelle is doing some tracking of her own.
The birthday boy has some beautiful lion and leopard tracks right here. He says Mvula's tracks. That's fantastic. We are still with our male lion tracks, which are actually the same as Tristan's, but we just want to go into a little bit more detail about how you do tracking and how you know if something is old or if it's new. So yesterday, you remember that we had the elephants that we saw at the dam, and they were drinking water and playing in the mud. Now the tracks that we're looking at here that Jean-Andre was focusing on are elephant tracks with lion tracks on top of it. So this lion was heard and possibly seen a little bit farther north from where we are now. Early this morning. So if his tracks are on top of these elephant tracks cannot be fresh. Another thing is, it wasn't super windy last night, but if you notice, if you look at this lion track, and that's his funny little front left foot where he's got his little injury, it's much more precise. It's like if you're painting. If you're painting, you've got fresh paint, and that paint will look wet. And once it dries, and it's dry and it looks old. It's the exact same thing with tracks. So his paw print looks wet, looks fresh, whereas the elephant track looks faded and old. So then when we come back here, you're going to notice we've got the elephant, and then he's coming up, and this elephant in particular was dragging his trunk. So he's walking and slowly dragging his trunk in between, and then heading up. So this was probably that young male that was with that breeding herd that we saw yesterday. Now I showed you back and front and left and right with the lion track, but let's see if we can now do it with the elephant track. There's a little beautiful sequence here. So now we talked about how with a slow walk, the lion would have the front or the back behind the front, medium walk on top, and then fast walk in front like he was doing there. With elephants, it's a little bit different. An elephant, the way that their gait is, look, you can get a bit of the fast medium walk. But look here. Here's the big round front foot, and then here is the oblong back foot. And elephants, they're not like a wildebeest. They don't have an exaggerated overstep, but you'll see more of these walking on each other just because of the way the gait works. Elephants actually have 4 legs. They have 2 arms and 2 legs. If you look, well, hopefully you'll find some. If you look, there's an elbow joint and a wrist joint in the front, and then a knee joint and an ankle joint in the back, which gives them a tiny bit of a different gait. But here, even though you can't see the full one, look how round that is. And then it would come around like this. Okay, so that would be the front. And then the back one, like this. I had a mentor who says you must never draw on tracks. Sorry. But it's just for the purposes of camera so that you can see that there. And then if we come back just a little bit, there's some nice into the sun this way. You can see all of the tracks. Now notice here at the back and here at the back how flat that is. People sometimes have a hard time deciding which way an elephant track is going, and this track is actually perfect. So you see the flat of the front track, flat of the back track, and then notice this little dig. We talked about it with the waterbuck tracks yesterday. When you push in, your foot is going to push up dirt like this, so your momentum forward. Just that tiny bit. So you want to look for the flat bit, sort of the sole palm of your hand, however you want to describe it, and then that will tell you your direction. This will be one from one of the youngsters. You can see there. And then down the road, we've got some elephant dung. Ooh, Becca, what is my favorite animal to track? It's actually lion. So birthday boy Tristan is tracking our lions on the vehicle because they are going north, possibly towards the boundary, so we're not going to be doing it as much on foot. We're going to let him do it from the vehicle. But yeah, definitely lions. Ooh, I love a lion. Okay. Here they were, playing. Now the elephant dung that we're going to go and have a look at now is good for many things. One of the things that you can do is, let's say we were in a place with a lot of tsetse flies and Jeandre and I are getting bitten by tsetses. You can take that elephant dung when it's dry, put it at your feet, light a coal into it, let it smolder, it'll keep all the tsetse flies away. When it's wet like this, and it's not, you see how it's very, very cold. It's just wet because of the dew is probably happening in late yesterday afternoon, like we talked about. When it's wet like this, and coming up soon, you'll find whole marula fruits in it that you can actually eat. They only digest about 25% of what they consume. Listen. It's our lion. Ooh. It's not far, hey? All right. So with the elephant dung, you can pick out all those little bits. You can actually see how they're not digesting. Sorry, I'm getting super excited about that lion audio. Yeah. All right. We're going to link to Tristan, who's now looking for a leopard, which means I'm going to take over from this lion. But I think that what Tristan and I might do is a little bit of tag teaming, and we'll see. So let's head on over to him and see how he's going, and we'll see what we can do with this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful audio.
Well, I unfortunately lost the tracks for Mvula coming south down this road. Well, I think it's Mvula. I can't imagine it can be anybody else. It's exactly where they lost him yesterday. And so it's coming down this area now. I believe Herbie's trying to call me. Go ahead, Herbie. And so I think he's somewhere in these blocks. And so I wonder if he's not just lying down somewhere in this area. The last track I had, Herbs, was just north of that old hyena den, or from Vubu. Still going northwards, but I didn't find anything crossing, so I don't know if he's static, just somewhere around that drainage. So just letting Herbie know where I last had the tracks for that male lion, and so I wonder if he's somewhere just on that side, and maybe Herbie will get lucky and they'll be able to find him and they'll be able to see where he's gone. I'm still looking around for these tracks because I'm sure that this leopard is going to pop out somewhere in this area, and so I'm hoping that if I'm just patient enough, I'll find his tracks coming out onto Gallego shortcut, or maybe even head towards Gallego Pan. So somewhere in this area, hopefully Mvula will be on the road and give us a birthday surprise. At the end of the day, like I say, if there's any way that I would want to spend my birthday, it would be with a spotted cat on game drive, that's for sure. So hopefully we'll get lucky. Obviously lions would be nice too, and the fact that they're roaring and they're back around here is wonderful news and really good, and I really hope that we can find that lion and he's not inside Buffel's hook and he's still on our side. But for now, I'm going to just try and see where these tracks go. Of course, Mvula could have walked miles during the night. I mean, I don't know how fresh those tracks are, or where the guys left him. It could be from game drive last night, which would mean that we're walking a long way, or trying to track a long way, but I don't think he would have gone that far. I believe he had a full belly yesterday, and so I'm hoping what he's done is come down towards Gallego for water, and maybe he's drank at Gallego Pan and has just rested somewhere in that general vicinity. I also know that he does like to walk around on Gallego shortcuts and then cross towards Vuyatela access side, so I'm going to look for any of those signs anywhere in this area, and maybe I'll get lucky with him somewhere here. Lots of hyena tracks though, up and down as well. Linda, you say you heard a leopard sawing overnight on the Djuma cam, actually. So I wonder if maybe this is our individual. I believe Tingana had a bad night last night, so it wouldn't have been him. Those tracks that I was following on Chitwa eventually led, the guys got to find Tingana with a kill, which was then stolen by the Sticks Pride in Birmingham, and it was taken away from him on the eastern side of Chitwa's airstrip. And so I don't think, maybe it will be him, maybe he came all this way, but these tracks I'm certainly are sure are Mvula's. They're just right in the area that Mvula was in last night. They came the right kind of direction, and they're walking the ways that he likes to walk, so I'm pretty sure they are his. Now there's a number of different tracks here, but they're on the wrong side of the road for me to double check them. I just want to see what they are. No, those are all hyena tracks that are on the road here, so I think maybe, just maybe, I'm going to just try and check Gallagher Pan and see if there's anything there. If there's nothing there, then, well, I'm not quite sure where to actually go. I'm hoping that maybe, just maybe, he just pops out, or some sort of animal gives us an alarm call, or one more track comes out somewhere. It could also be that I was right behind him and he's gone into a bush and I've just missed him, and maybe going back the other way I might find him back on the road or something like that. You never know. It does sometimes happen that way. Becca, there's only one species of leopard here in the Sabi Sands. There's no multiple species in this area. In fact, in Africa there is only the one species that we see. You'll find that in the rest of the world there are quite a few. So there's, in Asia there's a number of different leopards there. There's the Chinese leopard, Amur leopard, snow leopard. So lots of different leopard species, but here in Africa is just the one that we get. And so they're all the same, but very different in the same sort of breath. They all have different characteristics, and there could be a situation where you might find something like the Cape leopard be given a subspecies name, just given that their size and their shape and their everything is very different to what we see here. A big male Cape leopard is still not really as big as somebody like Tundi or even Shadow. Those kind of leopards, they're far smaller than what we see here, and they have a very different way of doing things. Now I've got spider webs all over my face, so I do apologize if I look like I'm a bit crazy and I'm kind of just swatting at my face. It's not because I have gone mad, which does come with age sometimes, but it's more to do with the fact that I've got spider webs everywhere. The problem is also if I pick up tracks here, these could be from yesterday, because he was at Gallagher Pan yesterday morning, so it could very well be those tracks. Now I know from following Tingana recently through here that if he came south from where I think he came south, he's going to end up being somewhere in this general vicinity. He should pop out somewhere here, so if I'm just look very carefully, maybe, just maybe, I'll find his tracks on this side of the world. But I have a funny feeling we weren't too far away from him. Let's see, no, nothing. I'll have to check the waterhole itself and just double check that there isn't anything on that side. But exciting times, always great when you've got tracks. When you start out a morning and there's tracks everywhere and you've got to try and choose what you want to follow, and there's two different big cats that you got tracks for, it always makes life that much more interesting, and you kind of get a lot more energy out of it as when you get going and there's these fresh tracks sitting right there. It always makes you want to get going and try and find them. So hopefully we will have a little bit of luck, but I'm not the only one that's trying to follow and trying to find a big cat, and Taylor McCurdy in the Mara is also trying to find lions, but her approach will be slightly different to ours on this side, but I wish her all the success in the world.
I hope I'm going to find some big cats. We've just turned up onto the road that leads towards the escarpment where we had those males yesterday. I, however, cannot see anything just yet, but remember how we were talking about why those lions haven't moved, why they haven't looked for shelter? I reckon that they would have got up and moved because the rain got quite heavy at one point, and I couldn't imagine lions sitting out in that very unpleasant weather when there's a lot of nice sort of trees and drainage lines that would provide. Whoops, I always do this. I forget that the track actually goes this way. That way is a disaster. That way is the place where you'll get stuck. But no luck just yet. So it's going to take us a bit of time, I think, to try and figure out where they've gone. And I was hoping to actually look for tracks, but the road that we're on right now, it's slippery, but there's just not enough sort of topsoil to leave a footprint. Now, Philip, you're wondering if a lion roars, can a direction and distance be determined? Most certainly. The direction is pretty easy unless you're in an area where it could be, bouncing off certain things. So I suppose having lots of vegetation around could muffle sound. Being down in a valley, if you're hearing it down in the... No, hang on. Sorry, I'll answer that question now. I'm just going to concentrate on driving so I don't roll the car. It's very slippery here. This is not great area. It's lots of black cotton soil, so sorry. So you've got to take into account where you are versus what's around you. So if I hear a lion roar and I'm at camp on the top of the escarpment, it can be a little bit tricky because the sound is traveling up, so it's not going to be sort of accurate. It's bouncing off trees and all sorts of things. But if you're in the base of the valley and a lion roars, it's pretty easy to pick up which direction it's coming from. The distance takes a bit of training and just practice and experience. So, I mean, trying to gauge how far a lion is away, we can hear they roar for up to 8 kilometers in distance. So it's quite a sort of a large distance that you're working with. But again, like I said, it takes a little time. You got to train your ears to try and guess. But you'll get a rough idea, of course. I mean, when you're still feeling the vibrations, you know, rumbling through your body or through the car, then you know that lion is fairly close. It's within a couple of 100 meters away from you, and then after that, you know, it will start to get further and further away. Sometimes it can be deceiving, though. You also got to take things like fog, wind, all those things into account as well. See, I'm talking like this today because I'm preparing for my rap. I've been practicing, but I'm not ready to do it just yet because we need lions or something, a big cat. But hopefully we'll get there eventually. So those male lions, you can just see there's a tree there. That's where the lions were. They're not there anymore. Now here's somebody that I haven't heard from for a long time, and that's Chitty Chatty Meg. You're wondering if it's a lot harder to track in the Mara because of the grass. Most certainly, it definitely is. And there's not a lot of sort of sandy roads. I can see lion tracks. I think they're lion tracks or they're hyenas. Let me just have a look. Someone was sliding in the mud. No, I can't see now. I think I slid over the tracks. Let me just quickly have a look here. Yeah, tracking in the Mara is not great, but you can still do it. You just can't, I mean, we can't get out the car and track like we would want to know. It's hyena tracks, those are not lions. Okay, we'll keep going. So what I try and do is if I do find a road or something that's quite sandy or muddy and I'm unsure as to where the lions or leopard or whatever animal I'm looking for has gone, I will try and just look for 1 or 2 tracks on the road just to establish a direction. So that can even help you. So like I said, you can't get out the car and actually physically follow track for track, but at least you can go, okay, cool, it's very open. The lions have gone in that direction because I can see 1 footprint on the ground. Okay, great. We're going to keep driving, and it's so open you should be able to spot them. I say this, but I still have not found any lions, so maybe don't trust me. Sure. And now it's tough because there wasn't any prey around, so I haven't even got an idea as to which direction they came from. Also, I've been across the river. I don't know what their movements have been for the last couple of days. That's also quite a hard thing, is that if you've been spending time with a particular pride of lions or a cheetah or something along those lines for a couple of days, you figure out where they're going, you know where they've come from. They don't necessarily always go back in that same direction, which helps. So it's a little bit tough at times. I just know that a lot of earlands, a lot of buffalo, they all go up to the escarpment and come back down again. So I'm wondering if they maybe didn't move up towards the escarpment. But I am searching at the moment, and my eyes are back to being 100% again. So hopefully we'll be spotting cats soon. Otherwise, if we don't find these boys, we're going to check the Sausage Tree Pride's favorite areas. Yesterday, Scott said to me that they were around. I think they moved off into one of the luggers, or maybe actually even went up to their favorite little hill to try and get out of the rain. I did tell you yesterday afternoon that there were quite a few guinea fowl alarming actually that way, so they might have just been moving. We will see how it is to off-road here. There's a fair amount there's pockets of this black cotton soil which you don't want to drive on. It's a quick way to get yourself stuck, but you also tear up the ground, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to wreck the vegetation. Where are these cats? It seems as though there's not much luck just yet, and hopefully it's going to change for Tristan and I. At least Tristan can get out of the car and track, and he's also got Noel on foot to give him a hand. Let's go and see if he's going to find the old King Mvula.
Well, I agree, Taylor. We are lucky in that we can be off our vehicle and we can try and track these animals down. It does make a big difference to be able to do that. So hopefully we'll be lucky. We've got all our eggs out, or all our weapons out and deployed in the form of Herbie and Noel on bushwalk, and well, us in a vehicle, and so hopefully we will find one of these cats at some point. Good news is though that if anybody's been wondering about our 2 cheetah boys that we used to see on Cheetah Plains and wants just an update about them, they've just been found now on Buffelshoek and apparently are looking fantastic and are right up in the north eastern corner, right against the Kruger Park Manyeleti boundary, and so they're just up there taking it very easy, apparently resting at one of the pans and looking very good. So those of you that always wonder about the cheetah brothers, that's how they are doing. Now these tracks, I don't know, I mean, I think we might get lucky, we might not. I think it would require me to be on foot for quite some time to maybe follow these tracks. I've done the sort of areas where I thought he might pop out and kind of appear, but nothing on the other side of it. So I've heard a number of go-away birds in this block calling, which is an area where, like I say, we followed Tingana and we've gone this exact route that this kind of track is going, and so he might be inside here. It's a needle in a haystack to drive in there and find anything. So I'm just retracing my steps now. Just want to double check that I didn't miss anything, that potentially he didn't cross somewhere and I just haven't seen the tracks crossing over that area. So we're just gonna carry on back up towards where I had the last track and then double check where they've gone. Maybe they cut off towards the other hyena den over Gallagher's shortcuts. I think Herbie and Noel are hot on the heels of that male lion and are looking for him at the moment, so I wish them the best of luck. I'm hoping that they will have some luck, and if we don't have any luck with a male leopard going that way, I can at least pop into the hyena den. That's what's also good about going in this direction and checking. But Mvula is a funny leopard in this area. You know, he often is easy to find, and then some days he's very tough to find. He likes to kind of walk off the roads a lot of the time, so you'll find he walks on a road for a bit and then he cuts off and into a thicket where he lies down, and then he'll come back onto the road, back into the thicket, back onto the road, back in the thicket. So I find the best way to find him is normally on foot, and he's such a relaxed individual that if you do find him on foot, he generally doesn't run, he just kind of looks at you, and so it makes it quite easy to find him in that way. Hopefully, like I say though, that he's still moving this morning and we can catch up with him just on the road somewhere and bump into him. That's going to be our best bet out of this whole situation. I don't think we're going to have much luck if I go off on foot and walk around, because it'll probably take quite a while to cover this block. It's not a small block that we're talking about, it's quite a large one. But it's a beautiful day. It's wonderful weather. It's a little bit on the cooler side. It's not as warm as I thought it would be, but I'm pretty sure that the temperature is going to start rising fairly quickly over the next hour. Now Jake, you're wondering how hot it can get here over the spring and summer. Well Jake, I'm not sure which part of the world you're from, but I will tell you in both centigrade and in Fahrenheit, but we get temperatures that can go pretty close to 50. The hottest I've ever had in the Sabi Sands was 49.5 in the shade, which is very warm, and so that would be about 120 Fahrenheit. It's seriously hot when it's like that, but that's uncommon. Most of the time on average in the summer months we'll be averaging between sort of 35 and 40. That's normally about what we get, so that's about 100 to 110 Fahrenheit. That's the kind of temperatures we normally get here, but it can go over that sometimes, and we do see it fairly often when it does do that in the sort of December, January period. That's when we'll get those extreme temperatures. It doesn't normally last for too long, thankfully, because it feels like everything's going to melt when things are close to 50 degrees centigrade or 120 Fahrenheit. It's not a very comfortable experience to be on a vehicle in the sun. It feels like you're being melted inch by inch. Right, so no tracks for this leopard that I can see coming out anywhere here. There is a little drainage that runs kind of along this way, and he sometimes uses this and goes up back towards the fire break. So I'm just going to double check here and make sure that these are not the tracks that I'm looking for and double check that he hasn't kind of crossed over the side. Also remember, we did see that little impala lamb in this area, and so that would be perfect bait for a leopard, and a leopard would certainly want to hunt that. So it's also worth just looking around for that in this area. Maybe he tried to hunt it and you never know, maybe we find his tracks, or actually him on a carcass itself. Now I see the tracks coming north up the road here actually, so we've got them going up the road, which is, you see them just here on the right hand side. So my sort of thing to come and check is not a bad idea. So just going up that part of the road, you'll see the paw prints slowly but surely heading northward. So there we go, that's the male leopard track, and I'm 100% sure these are the same tracks that we're just following. He's just done a loop and coming up. I would not be surprised if these tracks then cut to the west on the fire break. He tends to walk that direction and heads towards Sydney's Dam area, so I'm just going to follow these and just double check where they go. But they look nice and fresh, these ones, so hopefully Mvula is not far away at all. Come on buddy, where are you? He's milling around in this area. I don't know where they had him yesterday though, that's the thing. But the tracks are all on top of vehicle tracks by the looks of things. He's now cutting over into this side, so nothing coming back onto the road. He's going, looks like, towards the fire break here, so let's just double check here. Come on Mvula, be on our side, don't cross back north. He might have gone back north again, which is not ideal. But I would expect his tracks to pop out here somewhere. The last time we saw, well, last time I saw Mvula would be just somewhere here. It was just on the left-hand side somewhere that he was under a bush just sleeping in that rainy, cold weather. So I wonder if maybe he's just repeating that same route again and is going to cross somewhere in this area. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure where Noel and them had him yesterday crossing, but they told me east of Tambuti Dam. Now we are quite far west of that at the moment, and so I'm hoping that these are fresher tracks. Also, they're on top of all the vehicle tracks, so maybe he's still somewhere in this general vicinity. Now where we had him was just behind here on the back end, so actually it was over there that we had him, so I wonder if he's not going to pop out somewhere here. Can't see any tracks on the fire break itself, so either he's still lying back there and he's kind of lying down and I've just driven right past him, so busy looking for tracks, or somehow he's managed to fly over the fire break. Let's just check the cut line quickly just to make sure he hasn't gone north there and I missed him on the fire break. If nothing, I want to go back to those last tracks and maybe just turn with them into the block and just see, maybe he's lying right there. Those tracks look really nice and fresh. They look very crispy and clean and clear, and so I think he's not far away. It's just a matter of finding him now. Just want to double check he hasn't crossed out, because otherwise, like I say, I'm wasting my time. If he's gone up onto Buffel's Hook or something like that, then it's going to be a waste of our time and resources. No. Now, I know I'm not kind of talking too much, but it's just because I'm trying to concentrate on exactly where they go. It's, you know, right on the boundary, so I want to make 100% sure that I'm not missing any tracks as we're going. Also, we've got a spider web on the lens, so let's get rid of that, and that will help things. But I don't see any tracks crossing here, which is a good thing. I mean, the more... Oh, wait, there we go. What's that? So here are his tracks again, but where did they come from? So he's walking on this road, going in the opposite direction. So let me just turn around quickly and try and see where these go. But now that they're on this boundary, I'm not going to be very confident of these tracks being on our side, which is a pity. Anyway, while I have a little look around, let's go back to Taylor Mac in the Mara, who hasn't found quite what she's looking for, but something that's still equally as beautiful and, well, very, very unique in its own right, just like Taylor Mac.
Anymore, I'm afraid. We are looking for big cats this morning. We're looking for the Sausage Tree Pride, as we've been saying, and they're around. They're here somewhere. It just takes a bit of time to find these animals. What we're going to do is, if we don't get them here, I don't know if they would have come all this way. We might turn around. What I think they could have done, they could have been quite sneaky and gone back around towards the forest. They sometimes do that. I've seen them there actually a couple of times where they've taken down zebra. There are a lot of animals that live around and in that forest. And then again, it would have been perfect for those herbivores to take shelter. And cause maybe that's where the big herd of buffalo had gone, as they'd sensed the rain was coming, and instead of sitting out in the open, they moved off to look for some shelter. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to go up a little bit further, because I know what happens is that if you turn around too soon, you could literally just end up missing them. So we'll just climb this little incline. And then we're still just checking in and amongst the rocks. It's another thing, they could be lying around and on the rocks. The rocks would have absorbed quite a bit of heat, so it could be quite nice and warm. But we're looking. Now, Loop, you're wondering, which animal do I think has the shortest temper? It could be a number of different animals. Buffalo, hippo, black rhino. A hippo out of the water, to me, will probably have the shortest temper. Not necessarily temper, though. It's just they don't feel particularly comfortable out on land. They are very vulnerable. So they would naturally act aggressively right off the front. Black rhino, they have firecracker personalities. They also can be quite interesting. And then, of course, we know the buffalo, what makes them so dangerous is just because they don't give off very many warning signs. And, you know, one minute they've got their nose up in the sky, they've snorted, they've stamped their feet, next minute they're charging you. So that it's out of the three of them, I would say. But and then even a hippo in the water is not necessarily tolerant. I've told you some scary stories of, you know, my experience on the Zambezi River with hippos. I don't want to mess with them either. So yeah, hippo, buffalo, and black rhino. They might even all be about the same or so. But yeah, otherwise everybody else is pretty relaxed out in the bush, actually. Maybe even a honey badger. I don't think they're very tolerant creatures. I just haven't had too many scary encounters, though, to confirm this. But I mean, you clearly see from video footage of people going in and there's honey badgers raiding kitchens, and then they need to try and get out. But again, that's probably because they feel a bit trapped. And they can't get away, so it's more, they're more just trying to fend for themselves. No, I don't think these cats have come here. I've only seen hyena tracks. These lions could have walked anywhere, and like I said, it's been raining pretty much the entire night, right through to the early hours of the morning. So they could have moved, and the rain's just fallen upon their tracks and wiped them away completely. Completely. It's a tough one. I know that's a rock, but I just have to check it. You can see exactly what I'm looking at, Darby? There's a bit of white that's standing out on that rock. Look at that. Oh, I'm actually looking. A top right-hand corner, you got it in your screen. There we go. That's what caught my attention. And that's what you're looking for, because if it was a lion sitting just on the rocks there, the front of their chest would be showing, and they're typically a lot lighter on the underside rather than the top coat. So that's what I'm looking for. It's tough if a lion's laying, not even flat, but just sort of hunched down. It's difficult to try and... Now, Proud Cat Mama, you're wondering what has been the most exciting sort of moment in the Mara. I'm gonna have to say my rodent experience from not last night, but the night before was pretty spectacular. I wouldn't say exciting. I don't know. It was just a memorable experience. I don't know if I'm going to see something like that again. I have the most bizarre sightings. I'll have the weirdest luck. Like I won't. Like I said, I don't necessarily get all the cheetah hunts and lion hunts and all this type of thing. It doesn't bother me at all, because it's not my favorite thing to sort of watch. But I get all these cool, really small sightings that people would never even dream of, and they've probably never even heard of. I think people think I make half of this stuff up most of the time when I tell them, luckily, we're live and forget that. everybody. Gremlins grabbed hold of all the feed, scrumpled it up and threw it into the wind. But we're back. It doesn't seem like Djuma's winning today. So yeah, so sorry, what I was saying, I'll finish quickly what we're talking about, my most memorable experience. I was saying that going up in the hot air balloon was breathtaking as well. That was amazing. I'll never forget that, especially going over the Mara River and watching the reactions of the animals towards the hot air balloon. Some of them not minding it, others panicking and fleeing, which I still am completely shocked by, because they've been doing hot air balloon safaris in this area for I don't know how long, years and years and years, and we know with the vehicles, after constantly interacting with them, they become habituated to the cars and they become quite relaxed around the vehicles. I'm surprised that they haven't done the same with the hot air balloons. Maybe it's just that sound, you know, from it, 'cause it literally goes from being you cannot hear a thing, it's deathly silent, and then all of a sudden as they you know, turn on the flames, and it's a deafening sound. So maybe that it's they get shocked and they just can't get used to it. I wasn't used to it. Every time they would engage sort of the gas, I would almost have a heart attack and jump out the balloon. I'd get such a fright. So maybe that's it. I mean, we've even seen it with the drones, how animals actually become quite used to drones, and when some of these drones fly over, it sounds like a swarm of bees. But I've seen lots of footage of, obviously, animals that have been regularly interacting with drones, and they completely ignore it too. It's interesting how they haven't taken to the hot air balloons. Right, we've turned around now. We're going back the way we came, because I don't think these cats have come this way. I think if anything they've either, so making sure that I just check properly, and I'm all the way on the escarpment, so I apologize if it looks like I'm not concentrating. You just have to use your eyes here. They either have gone south of the main road, which they do sometimes too, so we might go back and also check that quarry. I know the male lions, we found those male lions in that quarry a few times. And we're also going to check around the forest route, which I'm not too keen on driving though, because it's going to be very, very muddy, but we'll give it a bash anyway. Right, Tristan's managed to get back into an area where the signal's a little bit better, and he's searching for Mvula. Hopefully, never mind. Nope, he's staying with me. Sorry about that. We're going to keep moving because I really want to find these cats, because I think they're going to be, they would have either killed, and I want to finish the story. Now, hi animals. Yeah, you go. Why are you all so petrified today? Everything's running away from the cars. I don't know why. Becca, you're wondering what is the average lifespan of a lion in the Mara? It'll be very much the same of those in Djuma. I mean, the lion density in Djuma is also particularly good. I mean, if you've seen Tristan, James, we've all drawn maps of the different lion prides and territories. So males typically around 12 years. I mean, we've seen some old boys, maybe anywhere between 10 and 12 years, the typical lifespan of a male. Females a little bit more than that, 15, 16 years. Girls can get quite old. It just depends, of course, on a number of different external factors. But it'll be about the same as the Sabi sand. I mean, it's not like there's any massive coalitions of males. Just the one that I know of, the Bilashaka males, I think is the biggest coalition that we see around here. What's that? I just see something black sticking out of the grass. Termite mound. I'm so great at spotting termite mounds. Okay, let's try this again. Tristan has found signal this time. Hopefully it's going to stay like that. He's still searching for Mvula. I wonder where he's driving around.
Well, unfortunately, Taylor, Mvula's tracks went north into Buffelshoek, very, very fresh tracks, and I could hear the squirrels up ahead of me, and so I don't think we were far behind him at all. We must have missed him by probably about half an hour. So anyway, it is the way it is. It's gone north, and there's not much I can do about it. I did try and check along the boundary further to see if he came back, but he hasn't. And I was surprised because where he turned is right where there was a little Impala lamb, and I was hoping that maybe he might stalk that Impala lamb and still be in the area, but maybe he missed it and just turned north. and back into Buffelshoek. So we've come back along our western boundary now, and just checking along, trying to see if there's anything around, just to scan. It sounds like all the leopards in the world are on Little Gowrie once again. Everybody is that side. I don't know what's going on there, what's in the water that they're all that side, but it seems as though, I think it sounds like Hosana, Tingana, Shadow, Cub, and maybe even one other. I think I didn't really pay attention too much after I just heard the word Little Gowrie, because I feel like Little Gowrie is going to give me nightmares when I'm older. It feels like if that's going to be it's going to with cold I hear the word Little Gowrie. But anyway, I believe that Taylor
again. Oh my goodness, what a disaster of a morning. At this rate, we're never going to find our lions. We're just going to keep driving until we eventually get them. So yeah, so we're going to head towards the forest now. We're getting there very, very slowly. We've just got to go through this spot where the road is collapsing, which is not good. So I'm just going to concentrate quickly to make sure that we don't fall off the side of a lugger. It's not looking good. They're going to have to close this road, I reckon, soon, because it is all just, the whole side of the lugger here is just collapsing. Look at this. I'm going to keep away from the edge as much as I can. And it actually collapsed quite a bit last night. I'll see if I can turn to show you. Sorry, Darby, I'm driving a tank. Can you... There we go. So you can actually see in the corner there how that's all from last night. Look at all that mud that slipped down there. It's taken quite a big chunk away, which is not good. And you wouldn't want to be driving over that road when this road gives way. Sure, you would roll the vehicle. So I always get nervous driving through things like that. And you just climb up here quickly. Where's our road now that's going to take us that way? Oh, we've still got to go a little bit further down. Nothing on the hill. Right, I'm going to send you back across to South Africa to see what's happening with Tristan. Hopefully his birthday will give him a bit of luck and he'll find that leopard.
Well, hopefully, Taylor, it would be nice to find a leopard, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's okay. Hello, Impalas. How are all of you? Now, it's important when this time of the year to actually spend a little time with impalas. They're an animal that's going to be giving birth, a lot of them, over the next little bit, and you can see there's some that are very swollen in the belly area, and so actually spending time with them is not the worst thing. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll see little hooves poking out, and then you can actually watch a birth happening live, which is really quite something. So I'm looking forward to trying to follow them around over the next couple weeks. Maybe, just maybe, some sort of luck will come our way and we'll be able to actually watch one of these ladies give birth. Now, she's very heavily pregnant, that individual, and it's amazing how in the last 2 weeks they've really just swollen out and become almost very, very full and almost full term. So I think we're going to see a situation where these little ladies, lots of little lambs, are going to be out and about and around fairly shortly. Now, just now before we had our crash, cut in our unfortunate little sort of gremlin issues that we've just encountered this morning. I don't know why they're so bad this morning, but they are bad. But we were talking about Taylor saying that she asked you all to send through favorite sightings. So I believe, Joshua, you sent through a sighting about Tingana and Tamba and Hosana, and that was one of your favorites. Well, I can see why. It was just the most epic sighting, wasn't it? Just to see the three males together. And the thing about that is, it's not only the three leopards that were there. That's the whole kind of fun part about this, is that there was also 2 hyenas running around like crazy, and there was the okay, that's fine, and there was an not too far away. So it was just kind of this combination of all of these animals together in the same section was just absolutely unbelievable. So it is definitely one of my favorite sightings too, and just to watch the kind of way that they all went about it, and that none of them really got too aggressive with each other, was just wonderful. So it was really very cool. Really enjoyed that every single minute. It was very special. I've actually been super fortunate since I've been at Safari Live. I've seen some amazing stuff. So it's been a very good year, considering that we had not too many vehicles around. It's been absolutely amazing. Holly, you say there's been so many, but your one for sure was the one with Fang. Well, I agree in a lot of respect. All of those kind of things and see what's happened. I mean, we haven't seen her since then, and I don't know why this keeps happening every time we have these crazy epic sightings. So Fang, Shongile, then I don't get to see these animals afterwards for quite some time. I'm hoping that both those individuals come. Fang was just an amazing thing, just because she just kind of kept following us. See, these male impalas are already chasing each other around. Now, it's not the time of year that they should be rutting or chasing each other. They're kind of behind a bush now, so hopefully they will come out. But they've been sort of running after one another and horning each other and going crazy, like you would see in the mating displays around April, May. But seems as though these boys are a little confused. Maybe with the females all kind of giving birth, there's a little bit of estrogen that's out and about and causing a bit of trouble. Now, since I'm going to try and just get round and see if that's going to help. But like I said, I mean, Fang was just the most incredible thing. Having an elephant that close, and then this bull elephant was just insane. And actually, it was the last time I drove with Jean-Ray, so Jean-Ray's been away since we haven't seen Fang. That's how long it's been. So it's been a pretty amazing kind of thing to have seen, and definitely one of my best elephant sightings, or I think the best elephant sighting I've ever had. So it was really quite something. Now you can see these impalas are still kind of displaying to one another. Every now and then a head drops and a horn kind of gets put into the other one, and there's a lot of sort of posturing between them where they'll kind of raise their sort of hairs up, and they'll sort of tilt their neck forward a little bit, show off their horns, and a lot of sort of walking around one another. But I think it's all petered out now and not nearly as aggressive as what it was just now, where they were chasing each other around. Yep, everybody seems to have settled down now. Oh well. It was okay. It was still nice to see these guys in the morning light. They look absolutely beautiful, and they're in very good condition considering the time of the year and the lack of rain that we've had. They're absolutely glossy and well fed and quite muscular, so they are looking very healthy. Joe, they will drop babies anywhere, so wherever they kind of find an area, they'll do it. It depends obviously on time of the day. If it's sometime during the hottest part of the day, they generally seek a bit of shade in order to have their young one. But there's no real rhyme or reason to an impala birth. I've seen them giving birth on open areas, under trees, in drainage lines, all over the place. So it just wherever the feeding kind of takes them. You'll often find though they separate from the females or the herd, and then they have their little ones away from the herd. And like I said, I've even seen one give birth on a main road in the reserve, so literally on the road itself. And the little one came out, and then it sat next to the road for a full day. It was the most incredible thing, because I actually did a bushwalk that day, and I remember walking down the road and I saw this female, and she had clearly just given birth. So, you know, there was still some of her amniotic sac hanging out from her, and she was still busy grooming herself, and she kind of trotted off, and I thought, okay, well, maybe the baby is somewhere where she trotted off to try and go and kind of protect it. And so we carried on walking down the road and back towards where the lodge was, because it wasn't too far away. And as we got close to where she was, next to the road was this tiny little wet baby that was still trembling and just lying next to the road and sitting dead still. So obviously we didn't want to disturb the area, and we just kind of left straight away. And she came back, and we watched from a distance as she groomed this little one, cleaned it all up, got rid of all the blood and all the other stuff, and then kind of moved off. That afternoon I came back on game drive, and the little lamb was still sitting right next to the road. And I mean, you could get out of the vehicle if you wanted to and sit right next to her, and it was within a meter of this little one, and it didn't even run or anything like that. So it was absolutely absolutely incredible to watch this little thing kind of sitting there and watching this female. It was amazing. So it was very, very cool to see, and so that just goes to show that they'll just give birth wherever they want. And that road was busy. There was delivery trucks up and down, so the whole day that little Impala lamb saw cars, and it just sat there and took it very easy. And Mom didn't seem too stressed. Mom just sat there close by under the shade. She was probably exhausted, that's why she didn't really worry too much. She was just kind of sitting and recuperating. And then the next day when I came back, both of them had trotted off and they were on a big open clearing and standing and doing its thing, so it was all very good. It's amazing to watch those. The process of watching a birth, I mean, it is a little on the gory side, but it is incredible to watch how quickly these antelope are able to get up and move and to be able to do their thing. It really is astounding. They kind of come out, and within a few minutes they're already kind of attempting to wobble to their feet, and it takes a few minutes, and eventually they get up, and within sort of 15 they're already walking around, which is absolutely insane. It's amazing to see how quick that process is, and also just to see how the mothers deal with it, and how, you know, they constantly groom that little one, try and keep it nice and clean so that there's not too much of a scent, and as soon as it's able to walk, they're trying to push it away from that area, because where they gave birth there will be a lot of scent associated with that, and things like hyenas and leopard and lions and all these kind of animals will easily be able to pick that up and will start moving in that area. So it's amazing that these guys come and they start, you know, they try and take them away just to stop that and to prevent their little ones being hunted. Right, Impala Plains, we have not spent much time here in a very, very long time, so hopefully there's some sort of reward for our energies in this area. Right. Nope, no tracks that side, so I don't think we're going to have too much in the way of luck here on Impala Plains. It seems as though it's all fairly quiet this side of the world. But getting back to amazing sightings, I must be honest, like I say, I've had some incredible ones, and it's actually difficult to choose because they've all been in their own right different and unique and have had something amazing about them. So when we've discussed the 3 leopards together, which is just insane, and not because it was 3 leopards together, but it was because they were all males and they were all feeding, really, and that's what made the difference, is that there was this big dominant male that was completely relaxed with 2 unrelated boys. They weren't, you know, cubs that were litter mates or anything like that. I mean, they are related in that they have the same bloodlines coming from Kruger, but theoretically they haven't grown up together. And so to see the 3 of them completely kind of calm with each other's presence. I mean, at one stage Hosanna was sitting underneath Tumba and just watching things fall on his head and not really concerned at all, and Tingana wasn't too worried about it either. So it was an amazing kind of look at it. And then obviously Fang, like we discussed, was just crazy elephant interaction, and not something we're going to probably ever repeat or see again. It was just amazing. But then I've had, you know, the Thandi Shongile fight in its own right was an incredible thing to witness, just from a standpoint that I didn't think Thandi would be as aggressive, and I certainly didn't think Shongile would be able to stand up to her the way that she did. And Shongile really did an incredible job to kind of stand up to her and try and kind of keep her away and push her away. It was really quite amazing. So, you know, that was insane. Then there's the Hosanna Tumba standoff, which was also just ridiculous in that, you know, the 2 of them kind of came together, and the brazen attitude of both of them at such a young age already was pretty insane to watch. So, you know, there's been lots and lots and lots of crazy epic sightings. There was also Hosanna Thandi shadow all around Treehouse Dam the one day. So I've been spoilt here at Safari Live, and Djuma has really spoiled me a lot. And then lately it's just been a baby fest. I've thoroughly enjoyed all of our little babies that we've been finding, from the little Pebbles the plover to Boo the hippo, our little crocodile babies, and yesterday, you know, with the Chitwa dams kind of greenbacked heron stuff. There's been so many, so I've been really spoilt, and it's been a great year actually in terms of sightings of animals. And since November last year, what I've seen has been absolutely amazing. Stephen, you're asking what's the story about Thandi in my bed. Now, Thandi was not in my bed itself. That's maybe just been twisted slightly. But so when I worked at Chitwa, I used to do game drive, and then I would come back and shower, and then we would go and host, and we had obviously a hosting uniform that we had to put on, so it was perfect time just to kind of catch a quick shower and then out into to go and host. And so whenever I used to do that, I used to get back from drive, and it was normally, you know, in the summer months it was quite hot, and so I used to leave the door open just for a bit of a breeze while I was inside the house kind of doing my thing and getting ready. And so the one day I went back, I kind of left the door open, went to go and shower, came out of the shower, and the shower had basically, it was a little kind of room, but there was an opening. There wasn't actually even a door. It was an opening that then came out towards the rest of the room, and then the front door was off to the sort of right hand side. And so I came out, and as I turned around this little opening to the main sort of part of the room, there stood this leopard just staring at me in the middle of my sort of room, just close to between my bed and the front door, and just sit and watched. And now Thandi, if you've watched, you will know that she can sometimes be a little on the feisty side. I don't want to say aggressive, because it's not aggressive, she's just a little feisty, that's all. And so she was standing there watching me, and she kind of, I think both of us got a fright of our lives, because she kind of looked at me with these wide eyes and then slinked off towards the door, and at the door she then stopped and she just sat at the door and watched me. And I kind of went quickly back towards the shower, and then I just watched her from around the corner, kind of poked my head out, and eventually she grew tired of me and then walked out of my room and into the bush. And it happened twice. She did it twice, so the second time was far less kind of a shock, because I actually saw her coming, and I saw her kind of poking around near the door, and she was sniffing, and then she started coming in, and then I just made a little tapping sound, and she saw me, and she then kind of moved off and out. But it's one of those moments where your heart stops, because if any time you read anything or you speak to anybody, they'll tell you to corner a leopard is very, very, very dangerous. And so, you know, when you come around a corner and there's a leopard in your room, your chances of getting out of there without being scathed is probably not very good. The good thing about this whole thing is, where I came out, she had this escape route right behind her, and so she, I don't think, felt cornered, and she knew exactly where to go to get out, and she certainly wasn't in any way aggressive. But it was just the most amazing thing to see. And then from then on, I used to see her a lot around the lodge, and even Mvula as well. I've got some funny stories of Mvula at Chitwa camp. The one time he killed a kudu, and he dragged a waterbuck, and he dragged it up onto the deck of one of the rooms, and the guests, you know, they kept trying to go to their room, and there was Mvula sitting there, and they wanted to use their swimming pool. And of course Mvula decided the swimming pool is not for any of you, it is my swimming pool. And he used to lounge right on the edge of the swimming pool and just watch them in the room. I mean, they used to walk around in the room, and he just didn't care. He just lay there, and you know, the guests asked, could we move the kill, and I said to them, well, you're more than welcome to move it yourself. But a lot of other guests would have been absolutely thrilled with the fact that there was a leopard on a kill right outside their bedroom and on their deck every single day that they were there. And these guys just didn't really appreciate it too much, and they, like I say, wanted us to move it. Of course we didn't. Mvula carried on and ended up finishing his kill fairly quickly and then moved away. But they apparently didn't sleep for 2 nights, because he just crunched away on bones all night and kept them wide awake. But he used to do that fairly often. I used to find, when at Singita, Ravens caught female with her cubs, she decided that the couches were hers, and the cubs decided the couches were hers, and they often were on the couches that were outside or on the day beds. They would lie there, they would play with the cushions. She used to steal towels regularly when she was denning, so she would take the towels, and you'd see her walking along with towels or jackets or clothes. So leopards are quite entertaining creatures when it comes to being around lodges, and certainly had my fair share of incredible encounters with them around those areas. It'd be nice if one of them decided to come out though now. That would be very good, because a birthday leopard is the best kind of leopard. Hopefully so one will pop out somewhere. But while I go in searching, I believe Noelle, who's fought off some of the gremlins and has managed to kick them to the curb, is back up and running. So let's jump across to her and see what she's been up to and where she plans to go from there.
Hello everybody, I'm sorry we've been gone for so long. We were hot on the trail of that lion. Unfortunately, the gremlins have decided we will not be sea lion on foot today. So we are now back where the gremlins are not, and we're going to carry on. So we're going to do one of my favorite trees, which is a marula tree. So we're just going to head over this side and have a nice look. So the first thing you want to notice, well, look, when you're identifying trees, there's a lot of things you need to notice. But for me, with a really large tree like this marula tree in particular, I want to notice the bark. How does the bark look? What is the texture? What does it feel like? How does it look from a little bit farther away than right up close? To me, this looks like someone's been hitting golf balls against it. You can see here. And that's one of the ways that I tell for marula. Another thing you want to look at is look around. It's the same when you're tracking. You look around. So if we look on the ground here, check all these pips, seeds. So the only pip that I know that looks like this, sort of like a bowling ball, is a marula pip. So the little seeds are in there. They're super, super, super tasty. And then what's been happening with a tree like this is birds and monkeys and even squirrels will sit and eat, and then they drop onto the bottom here. So very indicative seed. Then, okay, we've seen our seeds, we've seen our bark. Then you want to have a look at the leaf structure. Now, if the tree is smaller, you can actually take off a sample. Unfortunately, Jandre would have to stand on my shoulders and Herbie on Jandre's shoulders for us to get a sample. But you can see there, very, very distinctive type of leaf pattern. I'm going to draw it in the soil for you. I know that the camera does a really good job, but you've got the auxiliary bud coming off the stem. So here's the big branch. And you've got the auxiliary bud coming off. And then here you've got the petiole. Sorry, my brain shut down a little bit. And then off of that, you have what's known as leaflets, like this. So this whole thing is one leaf because the auxiliary bud's back there. And then these are leaflets. If the auxiliary bud was sitting here, then each of these tiny ones would be their own leaves. It's very indicative of this marula tree. Now, I love the marula tree for several reasons. One, the fruits, you can eat the seeds inside. The second reason is that the fruits themselves, the fleshy part, you can make beautiful wine out of. You can make beer out of, but it makes a really gorgeous juice. I love marula juice, and you can also make jam. Traditionally, you can make mampur, which is a moonshine out of it as well. And then you can also take the bark and you grind it up, and traditionally it's used, I'll put it to you this way. I had a tracker who said to me one day, we were out on walk like we're doing today, I came to a marula tree and he says, good tree, this is a male tree. So marula trees have a female tree and a male tree. He says, this is a good tree. I'm going to take this bark, I'm going to go home to my cattle, I'm going to give this drink, make a drink out of it, give it to my female cattle. I'm going to have lots of male cows that are born. Yeah. So basically what they're saying is you take the bark from the male tree or the female tree, you grind it up, you make a drink, and that will give you the sex of the child that you wish to have, whether it's your cow or possibly yourself. So there's a lot of interesting local knowledge about it. And then if we have a look at the beautiful marula that's just to the side here with those 90-degree angle branches, this is a good leopard tree. Now I say this, but every time you find a good leopard tree, the leopard won't be in that tree. He'll be hiding under that scrubby little bush behind it. But in general, that's a very good leopard tree. They like to be able to lay over the branches. All right. We're going to carry on walking in this general direction. It's starting to heat up. We've got lots of great bird sounds that are going on, and we're going to carry on with our tracking. So, Megs, I'm so sorry, but can you just repeat the question, please, for me again? Shamson, that's a really excellent question. You're saying where you live, it's autumn and the leaves are falling off, and the maple leaves in particular, which is quite a large leaf, probably about the size of my hand. And what is the largest leaf we would get here? Off the top of my head, the largest leaf I can think of is from an apple leaf, from a Phalaenoptera. We've got one that's not far from here. I'll see if I can find one for you. Many of our trees are deciduous like yours, so the leaves fall off, but our winter is small in comparison to you. So because of that, we don't get a huge amount of dropping of leaves for as long as period as you do. And also we're coming, it's basically summer here, so all of our leaves are present. But the autumn colors where you're from is one of my favorite things to view. Great question. Thanks so much. Herbie, are you pointing out my apple leaf for me? Arizona girl, I'm sorry, you're asking if there's what kind of trees? Megs, I'm not picking you up. I'm so sorry about that. Baobab trees! So historically, baobab trees, not as far south as we are here. You will still find them sometimes where there used to be farmhouses in this area. There'll be a baobab. Up northern end of Kruger, definitely baobabs. Where I just was in South Luanga in Zambia, lots and lots of baobabs. Yeah, good question. Sorry about that. Ooh, good tracks. Okay, we're back to our antelope tracks. You can see where I'm looking here and here. Very instinctive though, or indicative. Come and have a look really close. You can see this very, very, very fine line coming around, making almost a 6, and then a reverse 6. This is a very hard track. You can see it beautifully here, here, and here. This is an Impala track. Probably a male, but yeah, that's getting too far into it. But that hard track means that on any substrate that it will show this very, very hard outer edge, and that the inside bits will only show when you get all of this soil here. So Lily, you're asking me if there's any poisonous plants in our area. Yeah, there's definitely some plants that you can do some purging with. Tamboti trees are a really good example of that. They use the bark of the tamboti tree to make a drink to help with ulcers, but if you drink too much, you can die from it. It also has a latex that when you take it off the leaf, if you get it near your eye, it's going to blind you. So yeah, we definitely have a few of those around, but again, you will... We'll see if we can pick some up for you just now. We found our apple leaf, actually. So we're going to head on over there. Herbie, you're good. We love you, Herbie. We know you're here. Herbie's being very good about staying off camera. Okay, so our apple leaf is here, just in front of this tall one. I'm going to keep walking up that way. They keep changing the names on me. It used to be Phalaenoptera Valencia. But I'm not quite sure what they've changed it to. I actually need to redo my Latin on many of my trees. Okay, so these poor leaves have been eaten quite a bit, but in general, they get quite large, much larger than my hand. So the same tracker I was telling you about just now, about the story with his cows, one day we stop next to this tree and he goes, Mfo means brother. He goes, Mfo, this is not a good tree for me. And I said, why is this not a good tree for you? He says, because I'm not ready to go to God yet. I'm not ready to die yet. So they mustn't take this branch and put it under my pillow. I said, Mfo, but what is this story now? What are we going? Apparently, if you have a very elderly person at home who is ready to go on, but they can't quite, their body's not quite there yet, you take a branch from this tree and you put it under their pillow, and it allows them to carry on to the next life very peacefully and very quietly. So he's basically saying he mustn't let any of his children or anyone else that's younger know, because he's not ready to go yet. When he's ready to go, he'll tell them this story, and then he'll carry on. So apple leaf. Apple leaves are also showing that there's a drainage system here, that there's a place where that there's water. So sometimes you'll be, and it'll look very, very dry, and you'll just see a bunch of little apple leaves sticking up. And that means that the water table is nice and full there. All right, we're going to head back to Tristan, who's been helping me out while I've been fighting the gremlins. Thank you, Tris. I know it's your birthday, but thank you so much. Enjoy your bumble. Let's see what you can find. I hope you come right with lion or with leopard. Hopefully leopard on your birthday.
Well, thank you, Noel. That's very kind of you. And, well, it's always a team effort out here. Now, sorry, I am just getting out quickly because Senzo dropped his hat. So as we were going along, Senzo dropped his hat. Senzo, I'm claiming it for me now. There we go. It doesn't quite fit, though. But there we go. What do you think, Senz? Better? No. You want your hat back? Megan says I look stunning. Come on, Sens. There we go, Sens. So we give him back his hat. We are still looking around for things, but it's starting to get to that time of the day where things are going to not really be moving much, and so it's going to be harder to find. But there are tracks for elephants everywhere. So that herd that we saw yesterday, that big herd, is somewhere around here. They've walked all over the place. Them and hyenas have just been very busy over the last little bit. So the Ellies all look as though they're moving towards Mulawati side. So if I can't find a leopard, well, my second favorite animal will be the Ellies, and so we'll try and find them and see if they're not somewhere around this area. But I was hoping beyond all hope that I was going to find tracks for one of our young males somewhere in this area to be around Treehouse Dam or hopefully Twin Dams, but it seems as though not very much is coming our way just yet. I'm going to check Twin Dams just for the sake of checking, because it's been so good to us over the last little bit that maybe we'll get lucky there. If there's nothing there, well, then I think our options are fairly limited. I might go and then scratch for Tundi, because if Tundi was seen on our side last, maybe she's still hanging around somewhere and I might just get lucky with her. But it's been quite quiet otherwise. There's not really been too much around. It's been sense. There we go, sorry about that. So it sounds like my audio went, which was not ideal. So Megan's celebrating. I'm sure Meg's has had a tough morning. There's been a few gremlins around, and that makes life quite difficult for our directors, but I'm sure she's quite glad that the audio is nothing too serious. But what I was saying was that there's not really been much else around besides the odd Impala. It's been actually very, very quiet this morning, and it seems to be the trend at the moment. I don't know why, is that mornings tend to be very quiet. We're struggling to find things in the mornings, but in the afternoons everything comes alive. Maybe it's just with the heat, everything tries to push towards water and tries to find some sort of sign of water just to rehydrate from the hot days. So it's okay though, I'm sure we'll find something at some stage. Maria, you're asking how can people make all of these roads? Well, Maria, a lot of these roads, funnily enough, would have started out as little game paths. So it would have been done by the elephants and the hippos and the buffalo as they walk along. They slowly erode a path, and then people kind of came along with their vehicles and followed them with their vehicles, and that then created what we call a two-track. And once the two-track was made, well, then it's easy, because then you just get a tractor and you get a grader and you just scrape a road basically, and over time the more you drive up and down on it, the easier it becomes and the better it becomes. No, Janet Jackson is still not home anymore. I don't know what's happened to Janet Jackson. She's vacated us and left us on our own. What is this? That's interesting. There's tracks for a female leopard here. So I'm going to just Rose Candy, you say that the leopards are planning a surprise birthday party for me, and that's why they're not around at the moment. Well, they're more than welcome to start coming out now. I won't say no to them being around. But there you can see tracks for a small leopard. Now, which leopard it is, I'm not 100% sure. I think it might be Shadow's cub, although it looks slightly big for those. But it's a small leopard that's walked along here, so I'm going to try and just have a little look around and see where these go. I didn't pick up anything else anywhere around this particular section, but the reason why I know it's a leopard, if you look at this front one over here, you'll see a nice clearly defined 3 lobes at the back of that front track that is nice and clear. There you go, 1, 2, 3 in the shadows, and then the toes coming forward. But I'm confused as to which leopard this could be. It's definitely not Shadow's track. Shadow's track is bigger than this. So maybe her cub. And we'll have to just quickly have a little look around and see where these go. I wonder if these aren't the tracks from when she crossed in. Although they're on top of the vehicle tracks. Did I drive here yesterday, Sens? I don't think I did. I think these are yesterday's tracks, or I mean, sorry, the day before's tracks when she came into the property when Mom brought her for food. I think. I want to just double check further down and just see if maybe, just maybe, they've been driven over. Because if they've been driven over, then obviously I know that they're not that fresh. Nobody's been down here this morning, and so if they've been hit by a vehicle, well, it means that they're from a few days ago.